Welcome to part two of our direct look-ahead approximations. In this part, I'm going to introduce the idea of deterministic look-aheads and introduce the idea of using a parameter to tune the deterministic look-ahead. We previously called this a cost function approximation. Here, we're taking the idea of a cost function approximation, but putting it in a deterministic look-ahead model. I'm going to take this energy problem. I've used this a number of times, but it's a fantastic little problem. I'm pulling energy from a wind farm. It's highly variable, or I can pull energy from the power grid, infinite supply, but very stochastic prices to meet a fairly predictable load, and I have a nice battery storage problem. What makes this thing challenging is the forecast of the wind. So this is real data over a 24-hour period. The black line is the actual energy from wind over the 24 hours. The various other lines are forecasts. This is the forecast starting at midnight. And then each subsequent hour, the forecast gets updated. And you can see the forecasts change quite a bit. These forecasts are not very good forecasts. So we have to deal with a lot of uncertainty. I worked on this problem for quite a while on how to deal with this. Rolling forecasts have long been a relatively overlooked modeling issue in a variety of problems, especially inventory problems. I ultimately decided, you know what, I'm going to start with a deterministic look-ahead. So this is just a deterministic linear program with a look-ahead, and tucked down there is my wind energy forecast from the wind farm. So to the linear program, that just looks like a number. Oh, I'm at time t, forecasting for time t prime, so I might be at 8 a.m. forecasting for 2 p.m. But you've got all of that noise in there, and my linear program here is treating that as a number and pretending it's going to be accurate. So after a lot of thought and failed experiments with other methods, I ended up just doing a simple parameterization. I said, well, if that's a fuzzy number, why don't I just put a coefficient, like a discount factor, in front of it? Now, we're working on a 24-hour horizon. I'm going to have 24 of these parameters, one for 1 hour out, 2 hours out, 3 hours out, and so on. So I'm going to have a 24-dimensional parameter vector. So now I have a parameterized deterministic linear program, and I just have to tune the parameters. So the great thing about this is solving the LP is trivial. I mean, I can solve these in an eye blink. And then you just simulate forward as the updates come in, as your forecasts are changing, anything else that's changing. Now, this becomes a policy that I can simulate. And so what we're going to do is our policy is a deterministic linear program. It's a parameterized deterministic linear program. The way we evaluate the policy is to simulate it. So omega there is a sample path of actual updates of the wind. The stochastic optimization problem, F here, is what is the best parameterization? Now, when I did this research, I only tried one. There's room to try others, but so far I just put the thetas in front of the forecast and said live with that. But the thetas have to be tuned. And so I used Jim Spall's SPSA algorithm. We're going to describe that in a later module on policy search. So that's, I'll fill in the details for this in a future module. But this is our basic algorithm. A lot of people assume that because the policy is a deterministic linear program, that they're not doing stochastic optimization. No, this is stochastic optimization. It's the parameter, tuning the parameters, that is the stochastic optimization. Often that is done in a very ad hoc way. Here is a number of experiments. Again, I'm going to describe these in a later module to more detail. But these show various performances of the algorithm while tuning a parameter called the mini batch. Now, each one of these points represents the performance of a whole simulation walking forward in time. It doesn't uniformly get better, but over time we get a much better result. I've tried doing this with perfect forecasts, with all the forecasts perfectly forecast the future. And lo and behold, the optimal thetas all came out equal to 1. When I put in the stochastic forecast, lo and behold, the optimum thetas move much farther down. So this is the curve for theta for 1 hour in the future. These are for 2, 3, and 4 hours in the future. Here's hour 6. They all have very different behaviors. If I set all the thetas equal to 1, I get this base level. When I do optimized thetas, I get about a 30% improvement. Now, tuning these thetas is a challenge, but once you've tuned them, the lookahead policy is very easy to compute. So this is an example of cost function approximations widely used in industry, but in an ad hoc way. Professionals will treat their models so they work well in the field. Missing is any formal recognition that this is a parameterized policies. I cover this in chapter 13 of my book. FICO is one of the major providers of deterministic solvers. They have embraced the idea of doing cost function approximations. It's taken a while for industry to get hold of this. I also like to talk about this book, The Decision Factory, which is a non-analytical book, no algorithms here, but focuses on the general idea of using policies for making decisions. Again, more information can be found under the policies link on the website.